The fifth method of acquiring information systems was outsourcing. So what is outsourcing? Outsourcing is the process of hiring another organization to perform a service. In other words, what you want done performed, you're going to go and hire someone else to go and do it. Outsourced vendor can be either domestic or international. The idea that offshoring is when the vendor is overseas. So if you're outsourcing to an organization that's in China or India or Russia, you're outsourcing then to an offshore. You're offshoring your requirements. And then you've got application service providers. This is a special form of outsourcing. An ASP is a provider that has a specific tool or sets of tools that you're going to be able to use remotely. Now, the reasons for outsourcing? It's an easy way to gain expertise. Instead of having to hire the expertise internally and pay for that, what you're doing is you're paying for the temporary use of this expertise from this outsourced company. This then concerns a cost reduction. It might be cheaper, and again, this is something you will always have to look at and analyze, but in many cases it's cheaper to turn around and outsource than try to hire in the expertise in-house. It also is going to be used to reduce development risk. If you're outsourcing to a company that has done a similar product before, you know they've got a track record of being able to do this type of software and the fact that they've got a good estimate of how long it's going to take. So looking at this, there's also ASP, our application service providers. And as the title says, these are providers of a service that's an application to be used by your company. And a lot of this is based on an ASP agreement. Organization and contracts with the vendor to rent the application for the vendor company on a fee-for-service base. A very good example of this is lawyers in Ontario. They use TerraView. The idea now of doing land transfer and being able to register a new homeowner into a house used to be done manually. You'd go down to the courthouse and you'd go stand in line, and at the registry office you'd go and you'd register the deed to the new owner. Well, this company called TerraView came up with a provider, an application done through the internet that lawyers now use to do this type of registration. And they do it on a fee-for-use basis. You don't buy the software, you don't rent it, you load the software for free on your computer, and then every law office, every time they go and they register a new deed, a new homeowner to that house, they pay TerraView a set fee to do this. So there's an example of an ASP. It's an application service provider that is charging on a per-use basis. The vendor then maintains the system in its own web. They handle all of the cost, they handle all the implementation, everything is done on the vendor side. So on their own web location, the client organization accesses the application on the vendor's website. A lot of words for saying you open your browser, and through your browser you go to their website and you use their application. The payments, again, can either be on a fee per use basis, or it can be even monthly or yearly. There are some application service providers that will turn around and rent you on a specific time frame. Office 365 is another good example of this. They will turn around and you will rent the use of that for a period of time. Or they turn around and you look at something like web hosting. And again, it's an application service provider. They're providing all of the tools required for you to host a website, but they incur all of the cost and expertise. It can also then be charged based on number of employees or users, number of seats sold. So if the software you turn around and it's something that's going to be used within an organization, and the organization then says, all right, how many people will be using this at any given time? And you say, we need 5 seats or 5 licenses, then this ASP will then sell the service on a per user base. All of these then are ways that the ASP is going to turn around and be able to charge for their service, and the company that is using these services benefit because they don't have to incur any of the cost of maintenance or development. So this ends our discussion on acquiring information systems. for your company and organization.